copper ferrules out of pieces of 3/4 inch thick wall copper pipe, and I just buy it at the local hardware store. The first step is to anneal it, so I'm heating this cherry red, and I'll move the pliers to make sure that I don't have any cold spots. And then I'm going to quench this in water. So this has the opposite effect on copper that it has on steel. Instead of hardening by quenching, it softens it. Next, I put it into a vise and just squeeze it. And because it's soft, I don't get any kind of creases. It bends real nice. I get it about to the size that I want it. And there you have it. That's the beginning of my ferrule. So you can see now it's kind of elliptical. It'll fit right onto the handle. To give you kind of an idea of the size you want, I squeeze this until it just fits onto the tang of the knife like this. Next, I take a piece of paper, draw out my handle shape with the tang, and get it ready for making the ferrule. I mark that where it's going to be, and then what I do is just take this on a table saw while it's still square and cut some notches like this so that I have nice even shoulders for the ferrule to work on. So you can see I can do 3 sides, but this side, because it's curved, I'll have to do by hand. So I just put it in the vise, use a saw, get it by hand. Next, I mark around the outside of the ferrule to get the shape onto the wood, and take it over to my grinder. Now I'm simply going to grind and watch the outline carefully until I have the shape just right for it to fit on. After carefully grinding so I don't get too much off, I keep trying the ferrule until it fits perfectly on there. What I like to do is make sure that there's a tight fit on the ferrule, and where I have to actually kind of hammer it down onto the wood tightly. And as you can see, I got a couple little gaps here, but that's no problem. Epoxy will fill that. And here I've just peened it a little bit to get it to fit more closely. Next, I mix up some epoxy it on, stick the blade in, and allow that to dry. So after it's fully dried, I take it over to my belt sander, and I'm just going to carefully grind away the wood even with the ferrule. And this way I use thick-walled copper pipe as well, because I will hit the ferrule a little bit, as you can see, but I just want to get that completely even. And looking pretty good on this curly oak handle. And next I'll take it over to the disc grinder. This is my little homemade disc grinder. I have a video on how I made it, if you're interested in that. And here I'm just going to do the final shaping and evening out of the handle, get it just where I want it. And then I will hand sand it a little bit as well. Sometimes I leave the copper bright, but on this one I'm going to use a little bit of brass black. I got this from Birchwood Casey. And I'll just shake it up and use cotton ball to apply some onto the copper. And as you can see, it immediately begins to patina. And I kind of dab it at first to get it sort of an uneven finish. And then just go ahead and wipe it on there. And you can see it immediately becomes kind of a dark blue-black. And after it dries, I'm going to just hit it lightly with steel wool to bring back a little bit of the copper and give it a worn look. So that's what it looks like. I think this turned out pretty well. I love that kind of patinaed antique look to the copper. And that, my friends, is how you make a ferrule. Hope you enjoy, and it'll be fun to see if some of my viewers make one like this.